Primer by Green Fire Herbs. This is Lesson 5, Ayurveda. This is the first of the 5 herbal systems we'll be exploring in this primer. Ayurveda is the oldest healing system in use today. Historically based in India, it's been practiced for over 6,000 years. More than a healing system, Ayurveda is a way of life. It guides all aspects of living, including physical, mental, and emotional health, exercise, eating, and anything else to do with our lifestyles. Ayurveda is really 2 Sanskrit words, Ayur meaning life and Veda meaning knowledge. So Ayurveda literally means knowledge of life, sometimes translated as science of life. At its core is the Ayurveda, who is the living wisdom, the pranic energy or life force of the universe. Ayurveda is the articulation of the Ayurveda as codified in 4 ancient texts or Vedas and expanded on by the Ayurvedic masters. For our purposes, though, we'll focus on Ayurveda as a healing system and in particular on its use of herbs. According to Ayurveda, everything is based on 5 elements: earth, air, fire, water, and ether. These are the building blocks of everything, and everything is made up of these elements in different proportions. These elements can be thought of symbolically. Earth represents solidity and heaviness. Air is the power of ideas, mobility, and movement. Fire is heat and transformation. Water is fluidity, flowing and moist. Ether is the space that all the other elements exist within. Ayurveda teaches that each of us has a constitution made up of 3 doshas or bioenergies. Not surprisingly, the doshas are made up of the 5 elements. Earth and water tend to mix together, and the energy of these in the body is kapha. Air and ether also tend to go together as wind or vata. Pitta is fire with water. This teaching is central to Ayurveda and is called the Tridosha theory. Just as everything is made up of the 5 elements in different proportions, 3 doshas are in each of us in different proportions as well. Each of us is born with a particular balance of doshas that's determined at conception. This is the individual's basic constitution, or prakriti, and it remains the same throughout our lives. The dominant dosha determines body type, temperament, and susceptibility to illness. Many people are bidoshic, having 2 doshas dominant. In this case, the qualities of the 2 dominant doshas don't blend. Instead, each will have an impact under different circumstances. For example, someone could have a kapha body and a pitta mind. Tridoshic people are rare. Since all 3 doshas are balanced, tridoshic people are very stable. But when they're out of balance, they can get very sick. The vikruti is a person's current dosha imbalance, or the state of imbalance brought on by the effects a person's lifestyle has on the prakriti. Your vikruti can be affected by any number of things, like diet, stress, exercise, and even the change of the seasons. The foundation for good health lies in keeping the body and mind in tune with one's prakriti. Kapha is the creator, the energy of construction. It controls structure. It's generating and anabolic, steadying, and nurturing. It's wet, cold, heavy, oily, and static. It's the spring season. Childhood is the kapha time of life. The tissues of the body are the earth of kapha. Kapha holds the parts of the body together and has an affinity for the mucus of the lungs, the stomach, and fat. Pitta is the sustainer, the energy of transformation. It controls the metabolism. It's organizing and metabolic, leadership, and intellect. It's sharp, hot, oily, smooth, and mobile. It's the hot season, the summer. Adulthood is the pitta time of life. The moisture of the body is the water of pitta. Digestion and metabolism are the fire. Pitta digests and has an affinity for the eyes, skin, and liver. Vata is the destroyer, the energy of movement. It controls movement. It's catabolic, creative, and energetic. It's dry, light, cold, mobile, and rough. It's the fall, when everything dries up, becoming lighter. Old age is the vata time of life. Movement in the body and the nervous system are the air of vata. Vata moves and has an affinity for the large intestines, bones, lungs, and mind. Each dosha has positive and negative contexts. When in balance with a person's prakriti, the doshas are supportive. When they are out of balance, they cause problems. Dosha, in fact, means to spoil. Ayurveda certainly looks at the world differently than most of us are used to. Modern science tells us that there are many more than 5 elements, and modern medicine is certainly concerned with much more than just balance. Then there are all those strange-sounding terms. But modern science and modern medicine don't have all the answers either, and we don't have to choose between the traditional and the modern. Remember, the two basic tools of science are observation and experimentation, and these tools have always been available from the time our ancestors first began to wonder why. Using these tools, early Ayurvedic masters developed a system that described wellness and disease. From an herbal perspective, this system not only explained, but predicted how herbs with particular properties could be used to heal or to maintain good health. It's worth the effort to understand Ayurveda, not as it compares to our modern understanding, but for its own sake, simply because the system works. If we can't explain how, then there's still much we don't understand, and Ayurveda may have something to teach us after all. Energetics is the basis for herb use in Ayurveda. As we discussed in Lesson 4, energetics is the use of the observable properties of the herb in order to determine what its healing properties are and how to use it. The implementation, though, is somewhat different. Herbs have three properties: rasa, vira, and vipaka. Rasa is taste or flavor. In Ayurveda, there are 6 tastes: sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, and astringent. Each taste is made up of 2 of the 5 elements, and has its own unique effects on the 3 doshas. Emotions are also aggravated by the excesses of each taste. Vira is heating or cooling energy. This can describe the herb or the herb's potency. Pitta is hot, and a heating vira will increase the pitta dosha. A cooling vira increases the cooling doshas, vata and kapha. The effect of the herb remains while the plant is in the body. Vipaka is the post-digestive effect of the herb taking place in the colon. There are 3 vipakas. Sweet vipaka is derived from the sweet and salty tastes and increases kapha and anabolic processes. Sour vipaka is derived from the sour taste and increases pitta and metabolism. Pungent vipaka is derived from the pungent, bitter, and astringent tastes and increases vata and catabolic processes. The pungent taste and the pungent vipaka are not the same. While pungent rasa is heating, pungent vipaka is drying. 2 other herbal qualities are moist or dry and heavy or light. These are also determined by the 6 tastes. Together, these qualities tell us what aspects of the dosha will be affected. Now we have enough to talk about the tastes in more detail. Sweet is earth and water, moistening and heavy. Its vira is cooling, its vipaka is sweet, and an excess aggravates desire. These are nutritive and regenerating herbs with an affinity for nerve tissue and milk. Sour is earth and fire, moistening and light. Its vira is heating, its vipaka is sour, and an excess aggravates envy. These are stimulating herbs. They promote digestion and increase appetite. Salty is water and fire, moistening and heavy. Its vira is heating, its vipaka is sweet, and an excess aggravates greed. These herbs also increase appetite and promote digestion. They're calming, mildly sedative, and demulcent. In large doses they can induce vomiting, and in moderate doses they're laxative. Pungent is fire and air, drying and light. Its vira is heating, its vipaka is pungent, and in excess aggravates anger. Also increasing appetite and promoting digestion, these herbs are stimulating, promote sweating, and increase circulation. They're also expectorants. Bitter is air and earth, drying and light. Its vira is cooling, its vipaka is pungent, and in excess aggravates grief. These herbs are anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, detoxifying, blood cleansing, and help decrease tumors. Astringent is air and earth, drying and heavy. Its vira is cooling, its vipaka is pungent, and in excess aggravates fear. These herbs stop sweating and diarrhea, reduce internal bleeding, increase absorption, and are anti-inflammatory. Remember we said earlier that the foundation for good health lies in keeping the body and mind in tune with one's prakruti. When the body is out of balance, we need to determine how. How does the vikruti differ from the prakruti and in what areas? And what will restore the balance? Since Ayurveda is concerned with all aspects of life, you can imagine that it has many teachings on how to do that. From an herbal perspective, it means finding the herbs that will increase or decrease the appropriate doshas. In general, kapha is increased by sweet, salty, and sour tastes, and decreased by bitter, pungent, and astringent tastes. Pitta is increased by pungent, sour, and salty tastes, and decreased by bitter, astringent, and sweet tastes. Vata is increased by astringent, bitter, and pungent tastes, and decreased by sweet, salty, and sour tastes. This is a very simplified description of a very complex system. As an introduction, it explains the basic concepts and terms, but it would take several books or a complete course to convey the richness and depth of the system. Translation issues cause problems. Element, as it's used in Ayurveda, is not the same as it's used in modern science. The elements themselves are more descriptions of a type of thing than the thing itself. Think earthiness instead of earth. Herbal safety is, as always, important. This lesson is intended to introduce you to Ayurveda. It is not intended to be a complete course or to teach you how to use it. As always, understand any herbs you use. Be careful of herb-drug interactions and always use common sense. And please join us next week for Lesson 6, Traditional Chinese Medicine.